Hello, everybody. Today we have a special episode of Around the Octagon. Definitely a one of one that I certainly have not done before myself. We are joined by a special guest, or two special guests, I should say. A man of many talents, a producer, the producer of Paperweight, now out on Amazon, Andrew P. Oliver. Also joined by his co-director here, Dan Johnson. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Great. Thanks for having me.
So before we really get into it, for everyone listening, first and foremost, I want to say go check out Paperweight out on Amazon. I checked it out last night. It's a quick film. It won't take up too much of your time, and it's a good watch, so I highly recommend. But now to start us off here, Andrew, can you kind of talk to me about the inspiration behind making this film?
Yeah, so originally I had a concept with boxing where I would go to a boxing gym and find some up and coming boxer and basically put myself into his shoes and do like a day in the life, except more like 6 months in the life. And then at the end of the movie, the idea was to, have a fight and kind of show that contrast of, the average person off the street being thrown into a professional combat setting. Well, I didn't know any boxers and I didn't know any MMA fighters either at that time until I was connected with Weston Wilson and Wonderboy, who obviously are in the movie that we made. And when I had the opportunity to meet them and pitch them the movie, Weston specifically, he was super stoked on it, and he's like, "We could do this." And so the pivot made sense. I was like, "Well, we could do this movie, with MMA instead of boxing." So the original idea was to do it with boxing, but MMA ended up being a lot more fun. I think it was more perfect for the concept.
Yeah, definitely, man. And this is kind of a question I had for the way end here, but now while we're on the topic of boxing versus MMA, you took a few head kicks throughout the recording of this film. So I'm kind of curious, which one was worse, the one from Wonderboy or the one that you kind of slipped into while sparring?
Wonderboy for sure. Is it even a question?
I figured I'd have to throw it out there, man.
Yeah, getting kicked in the face is not fun. I think part of the original reason I gravitated towards boxing is because I thought I might be able to do somewhat decent at it. But when it came to the full package of mixed martial arts, I got totally smoked. But
oh, that's great.
Spoiler alert. Who knows? Maybe I did well, right?
Oh, that's awesome. So was there a specific moment or something that kind of sparked the idea to even do it in boxing in the first place?
Man, Dan and I and my brother Steven as well, this is our second feature film. Our first one was called How to Break a World Record. Not to go on like a huge rabbit trail here, but in that movie, my brother played a mandolin for over 27 hours straight, which was ridiculous and a whole story in and of itself. I say that to say we kind of gravitate towards, I think, as a group, doing things that, one, are going to be entertaining to watch, the pain and just the craziness of a feat or a situation that we've plunged ourselves into. But two, we like the respect factor as well. Like, this isn't just silliness for the sake of doing something silly. Like, there is something admirable, about, obviously the martial arts and these guys who are the masters of their craft. Like, so, we get to do something and plunge ourselves into this universe, and people can kind of chuckle and have fun watching us stumble through it. But at the same time, we get to shine a light on the actual discipline and the expertise and the mastery of what these UFC fighters do. So, that was kind of a roundabout way to address your question there, but
it came around, definitely. So while on the topic of Weston Wilson and Wonderboy, obviously a huge part of the film does revolve around them and you being there with them, but what was it like kind of getting an inside view on what their world is like?
Well, for me, it was painful at times. But no, I mean, it's awesome. You have, as a fan of the sport and as because I am a fan of the sport. I've watched UFC for a number of years. You think you kind of know what's going on in there and you can kind of have an idea in your head, but until you're up close and personal and see them training and see them going about their days. You don't really know. And it's interesting because for me at least, and Dan can chime in on this too, but you know, you see things that you're just crazy impressed by, you know, the discipline, the hard work, the sacrifice. But then you also see like that they're some of the nicest guys in the world, at least in our experience, where, you know, you think these are like these killers and they're going to be just, you know, stone faced all the time. It's like, these are some of the nicest guys we've ever been around, to be honest. And so that's kind of a cool contrast to experience.
For me, I'm a huge sports fan, but UFC was kind of one that I had not gotten into yet. Andrew and his brother Steven, who we talked about in the Breaking the World Record, were massive fans. They kept pushing me to get into it, and I kept looking at the times that the main fights would happen and wanting to sleep instead. And then we got into this project, and basically over the last 2 or 3 years that we've been doing this, seeing it from the underbelly of it has made me a massive fan of the sport. So we're kind of hoping that'll happen to people who watch this film that aren't already fans. Not only will it cater to the people who already like the sport, but people who want to watch a documentary may come out of it becoming UFC fans.
Yeah, 100%. That's super cool. And I will say, as far as getting the nice guys of the sport, you guys got two great ones there with Weston Wilson and Wonderboy. So who knows what it could have been like if, you know, you get some of the other guys. But those are two of the nicest guys in the sport, 100%.
Yeah, we got lucky with that.
Definitely.
They let me live. They let me live. So.
Yeah, the only reason Andrew's alive is because we got the NMF.
So, Andrew, I kind of had a question for you too. Like, I know you've produced some of the music that Weston Wilson's like walked out to and whatnot. So that all came through the connection through this movie.
Yeah, that was a cool thing that happened because it happened in real time. That was not like something we planned. That was not scripted by any means. It was just an organic conversation that happened after we shot one of the last scenes in the movie, which was, you know, the finale, the fight scene at the end of the movie. We're all hanging out after the fact, and Weston just starts talking about, he's like, I wish I had a walkout song, you know, that was kind of this vibe and this inspiration, and I was like, well, let's make it happen, you know, and for me, secretly, or maybe not so secretly, but I've always wanted to do that. That's kind of been like a bucket list item as a music producer, is just imagining a fighter, because, you know, I've been watching fights most of my life, and you see the fighters walking out, stadium full of people cheering, and they're coming out to a song, just blasting on the speakers. You just fantasize as a music producer, like, you know, I wish that was my song. You know, that, what an experience would that be? And we made it happen. You know, shout out to Weston Wilson, you know, for giving me that opportunity. And so that was like a bucket list moment for me.
100%. You're like, I think I know a guy that can make this happen. Let's let's do that.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, and so that was a cool, and, you know, like I said, it ended up being a cool storyline in the movie itself, where people could kind of see that happen.
Yeah, that is really cool. So, what was it like being both in the movie and also producing it? So being on both sides of the coin there, in front of the camera and behind it.
I mean, so, you know, it's definitely a lot of fun. It has some challenges. You know, I got a team of amazing people. You know, this is a team effort, you know, so like, you know, Dan and I, and then my brother Steven, who we've mentioned now a few times, like we're working on this together. So, you know, I've got to go in front of the camera and do what I got to do, but like they're with me every step of the way, helping me plan that out and figure out how that's going to go. And so, you know, as a team, we're all kind of in front of the camera too, you know, so that's kind of, we talk about our movies, and this is our second one. We plan to make more. We talk about what we do and call it kind of a franchise, where it's this group of friends, it's this group of characters, as it were, who are doing these things, going through these adventures and these experiences, and uniquely, we're also the guys producing the movie. And so I don't know how rare or not rare that is. I feel like it's, you know, not super common you see that, but that's just the way we like to do it. We have a lot of fun with it, and I think we're fulfilled by being on both sides of that equation.
Yeah, that is super cool. And this one's kind of for both of you. What would you guys say was the best part about filming the whole process?
For me, it's the relationships, I'd have to say, because I've been like I said, I've been a fan of the sport, but I have not known anyone who's a professional fighter. You know, I've not known anyone in that world. and to have those relationships, because you're like a little bit, I don't want to say like starstruck, but it's like, these are some of the guys you've been watching on TV, and to get to work with them, and now they're your friends. Like, that's always super fun. That's a cool feeling to kind of expand your universe socially in a way like that, where you get to meet all these amazing new people.
For me, I'd say it's the experiences. I'm an experience-driven person, and I got to run around in Wonderboy's home gym on the mat, watching him kill my friend with a camera. And just like I'm in a place where most people don't get to be, and I think that's all of this, and any cool experiences that our movies have brought us, I think is my favorite part.
Yeah, that is super cool. And kind of what you were talking about, Andrew, like I think I've kind of thought about myself and my own experiences. And if you asked me a year ago if I'd owned a Weston Wilson Topps trading card, I'd say, what are you talking about, man? And then I had the opportunity to talk to him, and now I have a Weston Wilson's Topps card. So the relationships is a crazy thing, man.
Yeah, it to me, it's like the best way you could possibly experience the sport,
Yeah, that is super cool. And kind of on the other side of that, what was the biggest hurdle you guys had to overcome?
There was a lot of uncertainty because we were dealing with someone who has a schedule like Stephen Thompson, and kind of we didn't really like at the beginning of the project. We knew Weston and we didn't know Stephen, and we were wondering, does this guy really have time for us? Is he really willing to beat Andrew up on camera for us? And obviously he ended up coming through, but I don't know if that was really a hurdle, but it felt like one at the time. We just didn't know. We were dealing with someone who had, such this aura about him.
Yeah, I mean that's a fun fact is when we walked out to the center of the Octagon, went face to face in that final scene. That was really the first time I'd ever seen him or talked to him. I had seen him and like waved and said what's up like one other time, just like just passing. Hey, what's up, man? See you. That was it. So when I walked into the Octagon and all of us are in there with cameras and everything, he walks out. That was the first time we'd ever seen this guy or interacted with him. And so, yeah, there was definitely a feeling of really hoping that something didn't like fall through, because he is such a high profile guy. He's a legend in the sport. And so almost understandably so, you're thinking from our standpoint, we're like, man, like what if something like he gets a last minute fight or something, he has to cancel, he has to fly out somewhere, like there's a million legitimate reasons why someone like him might have to, back out of anything. And so we worried about that a little bit, is because we're filming this whole movie up to this final scene. Yeah. And the guy that we're hoping, to step into the Octagon with is someone we really don't know or have any, we just had to hope that it worked out the way it did, and it did.
Yeah, I'm happy it did work out, but like kind of even along that, like sometimes you can get like imposter syndrome where you're like, damn, I'm really here or about to be filmed with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Like, there's no way this is actually going to happen, right? So it probably had some skepticism in my mind too.
Yep. Yeah. And I will say, now that we know him and he's a friend, he's the best dude. He's 100% everything people say about him being the nicest guy is true. And so in hindsight, we really didn't have much to worry about. But until you meet him, you're just going to worry about it naturally as a human.
Definitely. And I'm starting to run out of questions here. I have a few more for you guys, but clearly this movie is meant for an MMA fan, or not even meant for an MMA fan, but it's very influenced by mixed martial arts. But I want to say from watching it myself, while I am an MMA fan, I think about anyone can enjoy this film. And can you guys kind of touch on how you made it so that people can enjoy it that do not follow mixed martial arts?
I think our passion is to do something fun, do something cool, experience something, and then document it for other people. And we're regular guys. So if we show that experience through the lens of a regular person, then anyone should be able to enjoy what we're doing. Like, we didn't come into it as experts. Or to make a technical thing. We were just like, we have an opportunity to do something crazy. We're going to document it and then let people see it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm really happy you guys were able to film it. But yeah, it's kind of wrapping up to the end here. So I'll leave the floor for you guys. If you have anything else you want to say, and It's been an absolute pleasure, guys.
Yeah, I just appreciate you having us on. The movie Paperweight, it's out on Prime Video. Anybody who wants to watch it, we'd love for you to experience what we had to go through. And like you were saying, I think it's a film that's fun for anyone, if you're a fan of MMA or not. So, yeah, we'd love it if you checked it out.
And I would say, sorry, anyone who watches it, just pay attention or enjoy the soundtrack, because we had the opportunity to work with a lot of artists who are undiscovered, and we feel like there are some seriously amazing songs that not a lot of people have heard that carry that movie. So in both of our movies, we put a lot of time into picking songs that aren't mainstream, that are people that have not been discovered. So there are a lot of hidden gem songs in there if you're a music fan.
Definitely. And with that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Dan, for your time. Maybe check out Andrew on Instagram. I know it's Flipping Oliver. Maybe toss him a follow, and check out the film out on Amazon. It's a great watch.
Thank you.